Hi everyone, welcome to RV Afterlife. We are at Custer State Park. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff in this area, so we just wanted to invite you to come along. Roger's holding the truck in place, so that's why he's not with me, but hopefully we have a good time and can show you a few things while we're here. This is the State Game Lodge. The signage says it's Summer White House. President Calvin Coolidge family and staff occupied these buildings in 1927. President Dwight D. Eisenhower in June of '53. It's actually on the property of Custer State Park, and the sign outside says they have vacancies. So I think it's kind of a well-kept secret. No. These are wild donkeys on the outside of the buffalo pens. Obviously, the car in front of us are feeding them. We see, what is that?
It's a jackalope. That's as far as I can zoom in.
That's good.
Doesn't seem to be too concerned about us, does it?
I learned a valuable lesson that day. These bighorn sheep were everywhere, and there were a lot of people around, and so you get the misunderstanding that they're pretty domesticated. So I got the idea that I would get out of the car and try to take a closer picture of one of them. And as soon as I got out of the truck, there was a great big ram. In fact, he's just walking into the picture right now. He squared up on me like he was going to charge at me. Hey everyone, welcome to RV Afterlife. Go figure, some of the strangest things have happened since we've been doing this. And today we have rented a Slingshot, and we're going to have a good time checking out Needles Highway and Iron Mountain Road, which are some of the scarier roads to go on if you're in a big old truck. So come along. I hope you're catching some of these road signs because the curves were insane up there. Some of them were just really tight loops, but as you can see, as we climbed higher and higher, the terrain was just magnificent. Absolutely would have been hard for me to keep my eye on the road because there was so much amazing beauty everywhere around us. Okay, we are about to start the Needles Highway at Custer State Park, South Dakota. Totally forgot what I was talking about. What you can't hear me say because of the wind noise is that, as you remember, we had a pretty hairy experience on Logan's Pass at Glacier National Park. So I, for one, was extremely happy to be in a much smaller vehicle as we start into what you'll see in just a few minutes. There is no possible way our truck could have made it through here. We would have had to pull the mirrors in, and besides, I would have had a heart attack before we ever got out of it. We would have loved to pull over and stop and take pictures, but as you can see, there was just such a crowd up there. There was no way we could pull over, so we'll have to tuck that away for next time, but I would totally recommend avoiding Bike Week, but definitely taking this trip.
Go for it.
Well, it's been a few years since I had Helmet Head, but today was really a lot of fun. Just kind of want to hear your thoughts about the whole Slingshot and the ride.
I don't know. I would have rather been, I mean, it was a good experience because we've never done it before. Slingshot is a entirely new animal to me. But some of the roads we were on today, it's just as wide as a small car, the Slingshot I mean. So some of the roads were still just as tight as in a car. Not nearly as tight as it would have been in the truck, but it was, some places were nerve-wracking. They had a lot of metal guardrails on these roads, and you can see where they'd been scraped bare, and not the top to bottom, but long lines on the guardrails. Fortunately, it wasn't from us, so
Yeah.
it was fun. It was new. It was like mostly like driving a small sporty car like a Miata or an MG, something small and low to the ground like that. It had a 5-speed transmission. Let's see, what else? I don't know, it was a good experience. I would have, if we did it again, I would prefer to be on 2 wheels instead of 3, just for the width.
Well, I liked it a lot, and not that I would do it again without him, but Needles Highway was beautiful, and it was too much fun.
And I am having Dorothy's Isle of Pines root beer. I'm not a big root beer fan, but this is the best root beer I've ever had.
That came from Ely, Minnesota.
Is that what was that?
Yeah, I think it says so on the bottle. But anyway, going back to the Slingshot, I'm sure people are wondering, so what does something like that cost? We rented from Adventure Rentals in Custer. We actually met their owner, real nice young man, and they offer the side-by-sides for $200 for 2 hours, or for 4 hours you can get it for $250. So obviously we took $250. We got a lot of riding in. We only got out of it maybe 3 times.
We would have stopped more some of the places like Mount Rushmore and what are some of those other little towns?
Oh, Hill City, Custer,
We would have stopped more, but there was nowhere to stop. It was wall-to-wall bikes, and I'm averse to crowds.
That was some good advice that the owner gave us. He said, don't ever come here in July if you don't want to have just a ton of motorcycles. He said a lot of the small businesses here, they are so busy for the 2 weeks of bike week that's how those small businesses stay in business. So tons and tons, I would say thousands of bikes out there on those mountain roads today. He did say that anytime after Labor Day it's pretty quiet, but it also runs the risk of getting snow. So they also rent, they call them side-by-sides or razors.
UTVs is what he called them. I don't know what the U stand for.
And it's not our thing, but he said there's over 4,000 miles of backwoods, off-road trails, and almost every one of them that we saw come back was just covered in mud with big smiles on their face. So that must be good stress relief. But absolutely we would do it again, and had a great time with it, and would encourage people to see the park that way. It was just a whole lot of fun. So anything else?
No, I don't think so.
No?
It was a good day, well worth the time and the expense of the rental.
But now we're hungry,
Yeah,
so it's dinner time.
and we would like to come back, but realistically speaking, South Dakota is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just fortunate this time it was on the way from our last middle of nowhere heading to Florida.
Yeah. So, okay. See you next time.
See ya.